Trinidad and Tobago, welcome to another edition of Scoreboard on ACTN. It's always a pleasure every Tuesday evening to come into your homes and bring something that's relevant in sport to you for your enjoyment. This is our second show for the new year 2021. We're hoping that all the supporters from last year will continue journeying along with us and giving us all the good feedbacks. And you can critique too, we mind. We will learn from that. Tonight we want to tackle a topic that I think will be very interesting. It's the Trinidad and Tobago top sporting moment for the decade. And who else could come up with an idea like that? It's the two men from up north. Let me introduce to you Dennis Allen, CEO Rep 868.
Why?
And
this trusty
the next one has so much a title that if I'm going to call the title, it will take up the hour show. So, ladies and gentlemen,
the token red man,
Christopher Gill.
Token red man.
Christopher Gill.
ACTN, Happy New Year. You know what I mean? I didn't think I see anybody for the New Year yet, so Happy New Year to everybody.
So, gentlemen, in a nutshell, how it was for the
All year into
2020 into 2021?
Well, I was over in Tobago, in where we call the Tobago Alps, with my my girlfriend and her family, and of course my youngest backyardigan. And it was the most restful 5 days, 6 days. It was really, really nice. The boat going up was kind of hell, but that breeze, that vibes in Tobago, we can't beat that at all.
Can't beat it.
The year started off really nice, really slow, but pointed in the right direction. So I can't complain at all. But I had to say, it was a good start. What about you, workers?
It was a quiet start to the year. I want to say it was quiet. But I had fun with the kids. So far, I'm looking forward to what 2021 going to bring. The only thing that I vexing about, and I just me, is I just vexing about the no carnival. And it's not just the no carnival, but the no carnival vibe. So I find, somebody asked me how Trinidad is the other day. I say, boy, right now we flatline. We like our patient in the hospital flatline.
I talked to somebody who said Carnival Tuesday, they put him on their last year costume and walk in the road and walk the road. Yes.
All of that could work for me.
Actually, I
don't call no name, but
I was thinking of doing a kiddies carnival for the longest while, right? And we have this idea that we want to do a costume for the small man there. So we might still do it, and if we build it, we going into we're going into it. We're going into it hard, and we're going down hard, same way. And because
you get permission.
No, if it's just you alone.
Just you alone. I ain't going to congregate or anything.
We can ladder right here. You alone, gentlemen. Well, you all come with that topic. I think it's a pretty interesting
top sporting moments
at the decade.
Because it is a new decade. 2021. We're starting off fresh.
So technically, I think the decade starts at 2020, but we ain't gonna go into that discussion.
You see,
we ain't going into that discussion.
No, you gotta understand something. You gotta understand something. I was born in 1971, so everything in my life starts on a one.
Yeah.
That's just how my thinking is. So I'm going to be 50 this year in a few days. So if all you want to send thing, I eat anything.
We're taking give some money.
No meat.
Number one time,
I'll post up my PayPal on the bottom somewhere.
Begin?
Who do we start with?
They start by the top.
Yeah, we stop.
Not or the bottom.
Yeah,
start at the start of the decade and at the bottom of the pile.
The bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
For me, we had discussed this. 2011 was the year of Jack Warner, Jack Warner scandal. I think, it mightn't be considered a sporting achievement, but in reality, it really was.
For a long time, Jack Warner was the biggest name in professional sports in Trinidad and the Caribbean.
In the world.
And he led the way we did sport business in this country and in the region. So I like to say, if you're swimming with sharks, why would you want to have a goldfish we had the biggest, baddest shark and the biggest, dirtiest pool of sharks. So for me, I had to say Jack Warner, you know, win or lose. If I had to do it all again, I would have had a little more responsibility. I would have had somebody standing over his shoulder like that. But Jack did it. With flair and style, and you know, he built a lot of personal wealth.
And from where he came from,
a teacher in Poly, right? Like, get real, right?
A teacher in Polytechnic.
He couldn't even speak properly.
Listen, Jack Warner have pictures with him next to Obama, the Queen, Prime Minister of England.
World leaders, let me cut it short. World leaders.
World leaders all around the world.
He saw the Pope, I believe.
More than one. Jack Warner there so long, more than one. Jack Warner outlived, what, 3-4 Pope? Easily. You know, and so many other stars. You know, Beckham, you know, call them. You know, all these
Both
stars.
Ronaldos.
Both Ronaldos. Ronaldinho. Thierry. Messi. You know, I mean, I'm not going to take away from the things that he didn't do right, because in the end they caught up with him, right?
Ish. Because he's still he would have been up already, because he's up early in the morning, right? Don't say ish. But you know, he's get real early. He's known for that, so he's usually be up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
He did. Jack Warner played a big part in the World Cup, going from 16 teams to 32. That a lot of that was a Jack Warner, not necessarily initiative, but I want to say he had a big part to play. Jack Warner had a big part to play in the under-17 World Cups, in terms of their gestation and coming to fruition.
He had a big part to play in the 89.
He had a big part to play in the 89 scandal, where people was getting ticket, but was ready in
fiasco.
Right? It had it for a stadium with 25,250,000 tickets and all other things.
Creative financial engineering. But you know, the one thing I had to say about Jack, if it's at all possible to get this to Jack, write the book. If you need anybody here to help you, call Chris, myself, whoever. We could put something out.
I feel
I want to see the tsunami.
Get the title.
I want to see the tsunami that he had promised.
Yeah, the tsunami.
I want that tsunami of file.
But you know what? It would be sort of like titled The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Jack Warner. That's a good title?
Anyhow. so that was Jack, you know what I mean? Love him, whatever. Love him, hate him. You cannot deny that he had a big footprint.
Huge.
On sports in Trinidad.
Huge footprint. I think that was him.
So we're moving from the...
We are Jack Warner.
The not so auspicious beginnings to 2012.
2012 was dominated for me by Keyshawn Walker winning that gold medal.
No doubt about it.
But before why his name stands out really too, before he win the gold medal, remember that year he had success in Carifta, and
he was junior world champion.
And he was
junior world champion.
So basically, if I'm correct, he got 3 major titles.
Whips, whaps,
in a very short. And I think if you check, I don't think there is anybody else
whoever went up that fast.
I think it was within a year.
It was the same year.
Within a year he went 3 major titles.
It was an interesting thing, because he had come on my show that year after he had done the Junior Worlds, and we were talking about him going to the Olympics and his he had achieved the qualification mark at the Junior Worlds, and he was glad. He was just glad to be going to the Olympics. It was going to be an eye-opener for him and stuff. And I remember he literally won the gold medal on the last day of athletics in the stadium.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the exact last day. He was the last competitor for Trinidad and Tobago. So I don't think there was any pressure on him. And he just went out there and was having a good time. And in the end, he did, I suppose, the impossible, you know, let's put it like that. But in that time, it's so good to see how much Keyshawn has matured.
But my whole thing, I think most people just look at Keyshawn winning the gold medal, because, you know, we like this major success. But as I was saying before, if you look at that year, what he did, he really did something that I don't think...
There was a build-up. It wasn't really a surprise. Right? It didn't come out of nowhere.
Junior, I mean, that's a huge achievement.
It was a massive achievement, and then the party that they had when he came back was even bigger.
Yeah, that was great too.
Yeah,
was fantastic.
yeah. The party was great, but in the senior champs, a dot of that crowd came to see him.
I think it have reasons for that, you know, and I don't want to overburden this conversation with where we failed, because this is really about where we triumph.
Because next time we put in that in as a major.
You know, I think what Keyshawn Walcott's gold medal in London represented for us was really a restart, because before that we had 1976, you know, Hazley Crawford, and then we had so many close with seconds with Arto and
them guys
and Richard and all of that.
And they had a kind of a gap. You would have to say a gap between Arto's achievements and then when Keyshawn's basically ushered in a new era.
But again, you know why we have to give Keyshawn that edge? Crawford won a goal, right? Okay, he just won a goal. But that build up for Keyshawn, that is what put it. I would think if you have to put a top achievement, I will give him that because of the major things in a year span.
Yeah. Not only that, I mean, something that we need to remember too, Keyshawn is from Trinidad, Togo, as a black man. Let me not forget that this is the first black person to ever win this event.
Full stop.
Right? And
well, no, now they have two.
That meant so much to the sport, because usually, like you just mentioned, you know, the 400-meter man in the past, then we had Arto, and then we had Hazley Crawford. We've had that traditional sprinting on the track. Never had anything.
Never feel.
Yeah, so Keyshawn has opened up a door for athletes, because if you see Keyshawn join a track club, you know, the first thing you go find out, all right, he told, let me see if we could let him run some hurdles or let him run some 400s. That's the first thing you're going to do. But, you know, you could never get the best duck swimming against a best fish. You know what I mean? So even if you're a duck and you're swimming and you're real getting on, if you're in a world with fish, you ain't going to win nothing.
True.
So what Keyshawn's gold medal opened our eyes and was like that brilliant moment for us here is that, we have other types of athletes
who could,
you know, to do other things. Wow!
I still here studying the three major achievements in that 1 year. But as we go down the road further, we will see that he add to that,
Yeah. For sure.
Matured.
So 2012 was Keyshawn Walcott's year.
Right.
Right.
So what else we have there? From 2012 we go into 2013.
Yeah.
And of course, biggest moment.
Yeah, I looked at it the other day. When you called me, I kind of looked back at it on YouTube. And it was interesting. Jehu Gordon wins the 400-meter hurdles men's world title at the IAAF Championship.
World Championship.
Fantastic achievement. But was the race itself, was the dive to the line.
Yeah.
It was a dive to the line, and I think, you know, he got it by the smallest of margins.
A lean, literally a lean.
Well, a trip. It looked like he tripped.
Yeah, well,
Did you trip?
At the end of that race, Chris, right? That is considered the hardest race, right?
And he did a fantastic time. It was a 47 and change. It was, I think, 47.9 or something he did. It was the fastest time in the world that year.
And he peaked at the right moment, but you know, he had the presence of mind to do that lean, and that really made the difference there, because, I mean, we're talking about Jehu Gordon now. He was a pro, he got his contract, he had all of that. I mean, he have his cologne and all of that.
All that time, he was locally...
Born here, grow here, build here, you know?
And he was training here.
Right. And again, another endorsement of the fact that if it's done right, we can build a world-beaten athlete here. It's not impossible to do it.
It should.
You know, we can do it. And yes, we still do need to probably take our athletes to compete away, because the competitions are
a higher standard.
Yeah, you know, I think as a national business model of creating top elite international professional athletes, I think that Jehu's personal ambitions, his personal discipline. I think that is an exceptional quality that you don't usually find. So it's difficult to build something, a standard model on exceptional talents and exceptional personal characteristics. So it come like, you know, you want to build a wall and you say, well, my father used to be a mason and, well, maybe I could do it too. And you go on and you just flip in and you know, you build the wall and you're working at it and it fall down on you. So we have to be careful with how we project those successes forward. So yes, it happened here, but do we have the types of athletes with the types of support systems and the types of personal ambitions who want to make it outside? Brian Lara did it.
Yeah.
You know? Yes.
Yeah, without going into too much, yes, we do, but we don't take advantage of it, or the systems are not operated or often enough, or you know, I was doing something the other day, and it said, star athletes don't just arrive at your doorstep, you develop them. And we haven't, over the last decade or so, I don't think we have been developing enough star athletes.
Yeah, but I mean, we mentioned Kishon just now. Kishon never went to college to do nothing. He never got no scholarship.
So again, it's possible.
You know, so it's homegrown talent. We're talking about homegrown talent, right?
And I think homegrown talent has come ever so often, because if you go back, I think it was 1948 when we got our first medal with Rodney Wilkes.
Right.
Homegrown
talent.
Yeah, I did an interview with him before he died, and he used to train with lifting cane, bundles of cane. Yeah, give me the whole story.
Yeah,
you see how he dropped that dub plate? Yeah, I interviewed Rodney Wilkes.
Yeah, he best.
Yeah.
No, but we've had, you know, Roger Gibbon was another example of homegrown talent.
Yeah.
We had a number of top cyclists who were homegrown talent, runners that were homegrown talent. Again, I will always say the problem is we just need to have a proper development system so that we can take the homegrown talent and develop them. And even if we don't develop them to absolute top world class, we can develop them to that sub-world class level where they can then progress to the next level up. But we're not doing that. Instead, what we have is what we have going on right now in sport.
Nothing. That's what's going on.
Zero.
Nothing. Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, remember, we're keeping this thing positive. We're looking forward.
Right.
So from 2013, we're going into
2014. But I feel we got to tackle 2014 when we come back from the break.
Sure, no problem.
But what happened in 2014?
We'll talk about it. But here's what. We are asked a couple of our friends, colleagues in this business,
to
talk about their top 3 moments.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with one of them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll be right back after the short break.
Greetings. I'm Kwame Lawrence, Multimedia Sports Director Producer at Caribbean Communications Network, CCN, Trinidad and Tobago's top sporting moments for the past decade. Number 3. Cyclist Nicholas Paul breaks the flying 200 meters world record at the Elite Pan American Track Championships in Bolivia in 2019, 9.100 seconds. Number 2. Jehu Gordon is crowned world champion in the men's 400 meters hurdles in Moscow, Russia in 2013. Number 1. Keyshawn Walcott, Olympic men's javelin gold at the 2012 Games in London, England. One of my fondest memories covering sport for the Trinidad Express and CCN TV6. Keyshawn was just 19, and that result was an absolute shocker. No surprise though that Keyshawn is at the top of the list, Trinidad and Tobago's top sporting moments for the past decade.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Scoreboard on ACTN. I'm chatting with Chris and Dennis, and we're trying to come up, viewers, with the top 3 or top 10.
top moments.
The top moments.
How much ever we get through.
Top moments of sports in the decade from 2011 to this 2020. So far, we have touched on Jack Warner, Keyshawn Walcott, Jehu Gordon. 2014, what happened in 2014?
2014, I think there was a Commonwealth Games, but nothing really stood out to me.
Them Commonwealth Games.
And I had to go back to Dylan Carter at the junior Olympics in Nanjing. Dylan Carter came back, he won a bronze and a silver. And that was when he really announced himself to the world. The reason why I would pick Dylan Carter is because I get the feeling he's going to do something really, really terrific in Tokyo.
All right.
So, sometimes it's like you were just saying about Keyshawn, the story that you, the general audience, the fan, who's not necessarily the hardcore sports fan, you mightn't see that moment before the podium thing, the highlights. Oh, tonight on so, we have Dylan Carter just won gold. You know who's that, right? He didn't send back a thing. But when you go back into the archives, when you go back,
they could see George's laughing.
If you go back in the archives and you look back at where these athletes really announced themselves on the world stage, I think this was Dylan Carter's moment, where he really, he had been in the very tall shadow of George Bovell, yeah. GB3. And, coming out of that, how do you compete with that? But I think so far Dylan Carter has really established his name. And I think that Youth Olympics in Nanjing was his door knocker moment, and that's why I would give that the top moment there. But certainly there were athletes at Commonwealth Games.
Because I honestly can't think of anything happening.
Right.
And I can't remember what happened. I actually kind of did kind of look back to
dig around
a little bit, and what I remember is the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who win that World Cup 2014. Oh, that was when. Who win that World Cup? I can't remember.
Yeah, so
like a blank.
2014 is like a big kind of
Germany.
A big kind of gap in the whole, like, what really went on.
What happened in 2015?
Well, certainly 2015 would have been Soca Warriors, Soca Princesses,
whatever they were called.
What's that? Soca Female Women Warriors.
The
Women Warriors they were calling.
What do you support themselves?
Soca Princess.
Melee.
Yeah. But
I think they were calling themselves the Women Warriors.
Yeah. Well, what about the ladies national football
But you know what I liked about that? It started off slow. That whole campaign in 2015 started off slow. And it started to build. And I remember when they got to that point where they were kind of like into the last rounds. It wasn't quite at the end as yet. And, the entire thing reminded me quite a lot of the 89 campaign.
Well, I'm not going to tell you why that will be the top moment for 2015 is that we will never see a crowd like that in football again.
Well, not for a while.
Not for a while.
Yes,
and not only that.
It ties back into 89.
Ties back into 89, but I found what I was particularly impressed by was I found that Meili Atin Johnson did such a fantastic job of leading a team.
Her family?
No, it's not.
Okay,
but she's a friend. She's a friend of Meili.
She really,
She really did a good job. She was a fantastic captain, a fantastic ambassador for the team. And that team raised the spirit of our nation, without doubt. In my vibe, I found that it just, you got that kind of real sense of, hey, we proud of these good
country and patriotism.
And it started off badly. You remember? Part of that journey was that they went to Houston with the coach, Randy Waldron. And people had to be bringing food for them because TTFA and the money was tied up.
Yes.
And the government didn't know that they was going, and the check, and this, and that, and the other, and all that kind of drama.
Yeah.
And it ended with such a big, they were making such strides.
The only thing they didn't do is win.
Well, and in the end,
the only thing they didn't do is go.
Yeah, the only thing.
But they filled all the blanks up until then.
The game they played against Ecuador where they lost 1-0, it was a similar 1-0 victory to 89.
Yeah, because they had gone in Ecuador, they drew 0-0 up there in altitude everywhere. So that was the harder game. They come into Trinidad.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a romp, right?
Well, I don't think they thought it would have been a romp. I think they just thought that they had a much better chance here of achieving a result. And if they had drawn, I can't remember if they drew 0-0 here, if it was a case of their being able to go, or the extra time would have happened here if they had extra time. And again, I suppose we fell 1 goal short. But I mean, I still think it was a fantastic achievement.
You know,
and since then, women's soccer has taken a massive dive.
Take out the women.
When you take
soccer.
When you take the Soca Warriors, when you take the strike squad and you put this into that perspective, this was their, like I just said, their door knocker moment. This is where we now start to take women's football in Trinidad and Tobago not necessarily seriously, because I think we still don't take them seriously. You know, we don't pay them enough money. We have that situation with where they were.
But the Wolf League.
Oh God,
why does that some league start?
Yeah, it was Wolf. I ain't talking about that. What I'm talking about is, as a national women's senior national team, I don't think we take them seriously enough. I don't think we
don't take women's football serious on the whole.
So that to me was their moment. If they had won, I think the outcomes would have been a little different, but certainly looking around, seeing the young women in it, I think it gave them a certain amount of credibility and validation that really, really, I mean, priceless for these young women coming into the game now.
As I said, they were inspiration to the nation, so I was blown away by it.
So we'll give them the nod for 2050.
Easily.
For sure.
But I can't recall anything else happened.
Fulling up the stadium, I mean, that's a hard thing to do, you know. That's hard to do.
Only Marshall concert.
That's hard to do.
Onward.
So maybe,
only Marshall concert does fully say, onward, let me go.
Maybe what we should do is have the Marshall concert and have the event in the middle of it, you know?
Onward. I like the idea.
Moving to 2016, we're not counting it down going backwards. We're going at each year, what was the standout moment?
Standout moment.
And 2016, obviously, Rio Olympics. It was supposed to be like the big showcase for us. We had that belief that all the success that we had in London Olympics 4 years ago, we would have been building on that and extrapolating and whining low to samba. No, it didn't happen that way. Didn't happen exactly that way.
Did anything happen?
Well, we had some close misses, and of course, Kishon Walcott going back on the podium. Well, you know, that has never happened before.
I was waiting for this moment to go back. I was saying earlier. Carifta, World,
Pan Am,
and the Olympics, right? That was in 2012. Right. Everything more or less you get in a year time. Within a couple of years, you come and win bronze in the same event.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that
I mean, he is.
If you have to give to me, this is my own. I feel you have to give an award for the
Sportsman of the Decade.
Sportsman of the Decade. It's Kishon.
I think Kishon will have to get it. There's no
fact. Fact.
Right? That's a runaway.
All right.
And he ain't done yet.
I get that.
And he ain't done yet.
But that's done.
And I think if the counting T's way, if the Olympics had happened in 2020, because it would have been in the decade according to you all, but it really is in the next decade according to me.
Forget that. That's just fake news.
I think Kishon would have again been in the medals. In my bet is that.
I think that year off, it helped him, because remember he had sustained some injury and he had done some. Well, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but let's just say, to me, the year off
is going to be beneficial.
It's going to help him a lot. Kishon is not the kind of fella. Javelin is a very technical sport. You know, it's not like if you go and pelt mango, right? People have these very strange notions of what happens in javelin. The reason why you go to a javelin meet and you watch and you see people, sometimes the difference between a 3 meter, your best throw might be as much as 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters. When you look at the difference mechanically, you can't really see that, you know.
Yeah.
You can't see the difference, you know. But for Kishon, I think that year off, putting all of those things together, I think this Summer Olympics, I think he has every valid reason to believe that he could get back up on the podium again. And I really want to see that happen.
I would love to see that happen.
But there was something else that happened.
I would love to see that happen. What else?
There was something else that happened over in Rio. Marshall Cedeno is breaking the national 400 meter record set by Ian Morris. It was
1992.
92 Olympics. No, it was not 88 Olympics. It was 92 Olympics.
92 in Barcelona when he finished fourth.
Right, also. But Marshall Cedeno, known for his awesome finishing kick, you know, he just didn't have it at that time, but, you know, it was a national record. I mean, you cannot ask somebody to do anything more than run the fastest you've ever run. Run the fastest any trainee has ever run.
You know what is it?
But it was just a little bit short.
When you make a finals in the Olympics, the top 8, when you look at that achievement, if you come, no, I know we look at success right through.
Right.
But let's say you come 8, right? You come 8 in the entire world.
People saying, you come last, but he come last.
Yeah.
Morning, FM radio host, George, I just want to line them up.
I know.
And what you going to do?
I will let.
Carpet down your plap, 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 plap.
No, I want
hands.
Keyshawn.
Oh, God, nah, boy, that's a hard.
I want Keyshawn to slap them.
Nah, boy.
Line up all of them because they just don't get it, bro.
If you hit them hard, there's Toko the head and then up in the
Sometimes listen to them radio station and the DJs and sometimes I'm not saying that they are, but sometimes they come over kind of illiterate.
They are.
Well, I am saying that some of them are.
Especially with some of the,
they have a nice voice, though.
Especially with some of the topics and the advice they want to give to people.
Right.
Yeah, sir. And I think that they have to realize that you're dealing with people. So you have to be careful how you're, you know, some of them, their language and all. Yeah, sir.
But we're trying to keep it positive here.
But what's saying is, what's saying is, once you make a final 8,
you did well.
Yeah, sir, because it have people go through the entire life and never qualify for Olympics.
Final.
I have those who qualify for 2 and 3.
And then you have to put that in perspective to the reality of a nation with 1 million, 1.2 million, 1.4 million, the resources we have available, up against countries like England, the United States, Australia, who have a sporting development infrastructure, sporting science infrastructure, sporting financial infrastructure.
Sporting fans.
Sporting fan infrastructure that we just don't have at this time. So a lot of times our athletes are battling the odds long before they get to an Olympics. You know, it's a difficult thing. Just a minor comment on his side. Brian Lewis is the head of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. He doesn't get a salary. That's absurd nonsense. Brian, that is absurd nonsense. And I'm not saying it for Brian to hear. The reality of it is all the competing Olympic committees that our athletes compete in, they get paid. It's a well-established, paid outfit that is working to establish sport, unlike here. But that, again, I ain't going in that. Let me stay positive.
2016.
We're just on T20 wins for West Indies, men and women. On the women's side, we only had a couple of athletes on the team. The team was really led by
Stephanie Taylor,
Stephanie and Deandra and these Haley and
no, but we had Anissa
doing a real good, and we had Stacey King
and Melissa's wicket keeper.
Right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't really rank that too much.
Why, boy?
But
no. We win a world championship.
To me, that's more of a Caribbean.
But we had a role in it. So I am giving that.
But the men final.
Definitely, we had a footprint on that.
More than a footprint, because somebody asked me the other day. My son actually, we were talking. He said, how much people made up the team, how much Trinidad, I said, well, we count. By the time we ended up counting was 7 or 8 on the field.
The men, we are not covered.
Yeah, for sure, for
And
sure.
that is still why West Indies, the rest of West Indies ain't like Trinidadian cricketers.
No,
I ain't going in there. I ain't going in and talk too much about
I have said that, you know, West Indies cricket was standing in the way of the West Indies players, and they rose to the challenge despite whatever setbacks that they had. You know, Dave Cameron and his cronies really have a lot to account for the fall of West Indies cricket. But certainly that double win, men and women, I think was a moment in history for the sport. And that Trinidad and Tobago athletes played a part in those wins.
Fantastic.
So we're giving them for that.
Big part to play.
2017.
Oh, good.
2017.
For me, I find the 4x4 win with Lalonde. It was with Lalonde. Who else?
Lalonde was the last leg. It was who else was on that team?
Jareem Richards was on that team.
Jareem, Rennie Crow and
no, but Rennie didn't run the final. Who ran the final? Asa Guevara didn't start.
This fella, oh gosh.
And the same man you just talked about who break the record.
J Pump, Jaren
Solomon.
Right.
Yeah.
And the national record holder.
Marshall.
Cedinho. Those, but it was the way in which they won.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's only be the states, eh?
And it was not just, it was the way in which they won and who they beat. I think, for me, just personally on looking at it, I think something that would inspire. Anytime I feeling to get inspired about my country, I would just take a look at that run over and over and over and say, this was to me, if I had to choose a 1, 2, 3 moment, this would definitely be my top moment. I just found it was so.
My girlfriend and I, we had just moved up to where we live right now. And it's real desolate, lonely, you know? And I was screaming I was screaming at the neighbors thought I was beating my wife. Everybody.
Lord have mercy, Lord.
Everybody come in and they watching, and it was good in the sense that at least I know nothing can happen to me, and my neighbors would not at least pull out a camera. But that definitely, it's one of my top 3 moments of the decade, and I ain't gonna lie, I love to see. I really has so much dynamics and everything, and wow, the few team sports in track and field athletics, definitely, it's up there.
All right, we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll deal with 2018, 19, and 20, and then we will see.
Closing hard.
Yeah, we're closing hard.
Yeah, we're closing.
We have another one of those tapes from one of our colleagues.
Yes, so we should be running that.
Watch these.
These other sports journalists, they came up with their top 3, so we'll see if we could match them.
So pay attention to the ad break there.
Yes, we'll be right back after the short break.
My name is Brian Lewis. I'm the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. The Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee is also the Trinidad and Tobago Commonwealth Games Association. So, my 3 favorite wow moments, I've just added in the wow, right? So, the wow moment for me in the last decade, so here goes. Number 3 would be the Michelle Lee Ahi's gold medal at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games in 2018. She made history. It was awesome. Number 2, Rio. Keyshawn Walcott, bronze medal, making the podium for the 2nd straight Olympics. That's an achievement that was memorable because it's never been done before. And of course, ta-da! Number 1 wow moment for me in the decade 2010 to 2020 is Keyshawn Walcott's gold medal at the London 2012 Olympic Games. Yep, nothing can beat that in the last decade. Keyshawn Walcott's javelin gold medal, creating all sorts of history. So that's it. That's my 3 wow moments of the last decade.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to another edition of Scoreboard here on ACT, and it's always a pleasure to be in your company every Tuesday evening between the hours of 8 and 9. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Scoreboard on ACTN. If you're not joining us, well, you won't miss anything. There's a repeat tomorrow at 1 and also on Saturday. So we give you all that extra.
I like that.
Gentlemen, we have come down now to
2018.
2018, and we had volleyball, Jeremy Richards and Michelle Ahi.
Volleyball, team sports, women's team sports in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of talent, but because we don't have that, we don't really succeed. But the volleyball, women's volleyball, the regional dominance built into finally an appearance at the World Championships in Japan. And
it was fantastic. It was good to see. It was, again, the culmination of a lot of preparation. Of course, volleyball not being as popular as football meant that they probably didn't draw that massive media attention. But as an achievement, it was equally as good.
Yeah, we opened hard. We opened against Russia, and for about that first few minutes, we looked real good. We looked real good, and then reality hit us like a brick. And the facts of the matter is, we don't have the pro sports support systems in place to really take it to the next level. But you know, we showed our faces and we put our names on the list. So for me, I think it's really just about building on.
Moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting that he talks about women's sports, because every time that we have invested in some type of women's sport seriously with our athletes, we have achieved world-class results.
True.
The football, the netball, the volleyball, Tennille Campbell with the cycling. And it's amazing to me that we don't step back away and take a look at what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong in terms of women's sport.
True.
And possibly having an entire sporting development program that deals exclusively with the women or female athletes, starting from the primary school, coming all the way up. Because if we probably do that, we can probably have way more success in our sport and in our female sport. And, you know, and it's sad because sometimes I think a lot of times people only look at the female aspect of, well, you know, they're good to jump up a little bit and do this, and then carnival and party, and we need to look past that.
Right. For time's sake, we need to kind of like
Press on.
Yeah, right. So we have the volleyball.
Jareem and Michelle Lee, Commonwealth gold medals. But you know what? While I'm always happy to see any Trini on the podium, it was the first time a female Trinidad athlete went all the way to the top of the podium. Now, Cleo, we didn't talk about Cleo, and Cleo is one of the athletes of the century, of course, male or female, but she's come second. She's been on the podium, but she never made it to that final step.
Breakthrough number one.
Yes,
and Michelle Lee, for whatever, is the first senior international woman gold medal. At that level, it's, you know, that's definitely a precedent there. So I will give Michelle Lee the edge over Jareem because, I mean, enough respect, Jareem. we've seen a man step up to the plate with that before. But certainly Michelle Lee, I mean, since then we know of her struggles with the missed tests and she had to be sanctioned.
Phone not
But
vibrating.
that is over. She's out of sanction this year, and she is definitely going to be making a few.
I think that postponement of the Olympics.
It worked out for us.
It worked out for us, and
For
I
sure.
think that that ban to. I feel it will do something to her to really.
Yeah.
I hope it gets her angry. And gets her angry enough that she trains harder.
Yeah, because remember, it is a ban, it is a sanction, but she never tested for any substances, right? So we have to be very careful with how we portray what took place there. As a journalist, I want to say, all right, it's a ban, it's a ban, it's a ban, but the Trini in me wants to be a little more compassionate and say, all right, it's a little different. But certainly we want to welcome her back to the national team. And I will always say, Michelle Lee, I think he made a really bad mistake in not running in that relay. But that's something, that's you had to live with that.
That done.
What game we had in 2018?
Alvin Jones goal versus USA.
George is
that
next.
Pipe. Listen, George, I had to say, the Americans that was coasting on we talking about the swimming pool down here in Coover, and they Coover and Central Trinidad and Tobago and all of that, and they were sliding and all of that. But when Alvin Jones rest the pipe on them and send them out of the World Cup, I think yes, every flashback. To 1989.
That's how they went. They went out. You can't just get them the out. You gotta get them out.
Every flashback in my mind, I was like, this is poetic justice.
It was.
What's that? They did all kind of.
And it was a top-notch goal.
Yeah.
Right? It was a top-notch goal. Might be the goal of the decade, too.
And it's interesting that I think at the halfway mark, America was definitely in the qualification places. And I think it's the last 3 games that they failed to win. I think they lost.
And also Panama had their own part to do too.
But
like 3 games was playing that same day.
They were supposed to beat Trinidad. Transfer.
They should have bring Michael Phelps though in the swimming pool. That do a little better there.
All right, onward. 2019. Nicholas Paul world record and gold medals at the Pan Am. I think it's the first time the cycling has re-established itself as having a dominant group of riders.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing with the now infamous marijuana detection / ban or whatever did put a little tarnish on the trophies, but I don't think anything.
That's the Pan Am.
I don't think anything could take away from his world record, his achievements. He's the first cyclist since Roger Gibbon to go up there and win.
Now, his story kind of similar to Kishon in a way.
In a way, very much so.
He appeared on the scene, and that's like that always from here kept going up,
I think what's different is that he went to Switzerland, and he had that very important intervention at Switzerland. So I would say that there is a bit of a slight difference. So like Bramble never went to Switzerland, right? Right. But he's a sub-10, and the only sub-10 sprinter who is completely homegrown is Bramble.
There have a couple others.
Who else went sub-10?
Jude.
Who? Don't call him that.
Yeah, he went sub-10.
He went sub-10 when?
Who's that?
In Colombia in 19...
I know.
Who name he call it?
Jude Codrington. I did an interview with him.
Did he, boy?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Don't talk to you about
No, Jude Codrington in it. But if it is, we'll come back and apologize to Jude because he was a top class athlete.
Quincy might have gone sub-10.
No way, man.
Yeah, I think Quincy did do something. Anyhow, the reality of it is, I think I'm hoping now that Nicholas and Kwesi Brown are both back in Switzerland.
They're back there right now?
Yeah, they're back over there.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been over there. I want to throw something else into there too.
Go ahead.
All right. Terry Cosford's 5th gold medal
at Curfew
Games.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. First of all, you get a special dispensation to compete a year before you're under 17, under 18. And then, because usually you do 2 as the junior and then 2 as the senior. So he had an extra year. And he took full advantage of it. So Terry Cosford, his birthday was this weekend. So I want to say, enough respect, Terry. I expecting big things. His teammate is a world champion right now, right? So he's going to do a lot of, he's had a whole year off. He's going to do a real good stuff this year. I really expecting big things from this guy. But let me tell you, I was there, I saw it. It's amazing. This guy is an athlete, So I had to include that there, even though it's a junior event.
But it's something.
It's a hell of an accomplishment to have,
All right, and that takes us to?
Fully into the 2020, the biggest. You ever coming up, wake up in the night, and you're going to whether it's the bathroom or your fridge or whatever, and you kick your toe, boy?
Hard.
That was 2020.
Yeah.
The biggest toe stub in
My
the
toe
dark.
still have a black thing on.
The
nail black still.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, I had an interview with another colleague of mine, Andrea De Silva. She's doing this series called Mask On, or Masks Up. And she asked me, what was 2020 for you? And I will have to say that I lost so much opportunities in the year. And the sport in general lost so many opportunities in the year. But to see the few little highlights that we could talk about right now, what was the biggest one for me?
The biggest one for me was the fact that the traffic lights stop a man they get stopped by traffic lights, and it was 3 minutes late. That's the biggest one for me.
What's that?
The men and them, remember, they reached 3 minutes late. Hey, I buy the lights. I'm coming now. Hold up, keep the court open. I'm coming now. Oh,
Really and truly,
no, I'm coming right there. I see in the court.
Anyhow, on serious thing, I think 2020, the biggest moment was really Tyra Gittens. She's been an exceptional athlete. She's a college athlete, Texas A&M, and she's a multi-sport athlete, so she does the heptathlon. But she, 3-time All-American for last year, 3 events, heptathlon, long jump, high jump. Set a new national record in the long jump or the high jump? Long jump. And this year she is continuing building on that there. But what is going on with Tyra is we're going to hear a lot more from her. She won again this weekend. She beat her teammate, who is the high jump, the long jumper on the team. She beat her teammate. So expect a lot. Tyra Gittens, very, very personable young woman, a lot of ambition and a lot of talent. Yeah. Of course, we can't talk about 2020 without repeating. We're talking about Trinidad, the Trinbago Knight Riders.
Oh, yes.
Right? With the CPL win. And
I
we
think
have
it's the third, is what the
third or fourth.
Yeah.
Third or fourth title.
Right.
I know we have won.
That's cricket.
Maybe,
I don't really talk about
in the
cricket.
last 5 years.
Yeah.
But definitely, that was certainly, you have to say that was a big achievement.
Right. Now franchise cricketer.
That had to be the big achievement, because that was the only thing that really was happening.
Well, that was the only
That
real
was the
thing.
only
during
real
COVID.
sporting event that happened to be honest.
So I give, and that's although it's TKR, Trinidad, Trinbago,
Knight.
it's not really a Trinidad franchise,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So
But
it's
it's a
not
Trinidad
only
franchise.
Trinis, but the country has
support-
embraced them.
Yeah.
And the team has really a uniquely Trinidadian flair to it. And I will say that, the
They have a big
Lendl
support.
Simmons,
They have a big support base.
Kyron Pollard. These are the two big names on the team, and I will say that,
Bravo, boy.
and the Bravo brothers, of
Yeah, but,
course. You know, we can't we can
can't-
talk about
yeah.
this team for hours.
Yeah.
You know,
But I
it's,
think the biggest moment was
Getting banned? Getting banned?
was
Getting banned?
game ban in football.
Yeah, easily.
That cover everything.
That is a thing never achieved before. That is a great spot. We get banned.
Yeah.
Even if it was for 2 months, half a month, I ain't know how long we really get banned for.
No, but you see, it's not only the ban, you know. It's the whole thing surrounding the whole.
Yeah. You had to talk about it. It went in court.
it big.
It was the biggest. Fatma write the letter, say, only ban. End of story.
You know, when you look at the logistics of how that went on, you know, it sounds a lot like a personal vendetta, and it sounds a lot like somebody putting in place blocks to make sure that whatever possible wrongdoing that may have gone on is not discovered. That's how it feels to me.
Well, you know what? I feel the opposite. I feel that you had a group of people coming in with the imperative that wrongdoing had taken place. We're going to dig it up at all costs. And the costs didn't have anything to do, or the digging up of these perceived wrongdoings, whether they're real or not, had nothing to do with the development of football.
All right, and you know what I feel?
Go ahead.
We just kill that. You know, about less than 2 minutes.
All right, I just want to say the one last thing. Dylan Carter again.
Right.
He probably now has about 9 national records, and his performances for the LA Current, in the ISL, he had some definite big performances.
On that minute, your top 3.
My top 3 would definitely be, I want to say, Keyshawn.
Keyshawn 1, Keyshawn 2.
No, Keyshawn 1 would be number 3. The girls' team, Women's World Cup, would be number 2. And without doubt for me, because it just inspired our nation, would be the 4x4. Every time, as I say, I just think it wasn't a massive achievement in terms of a gold medal, but it was a massive achievement in terms of what they did for our country. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Nicholas Paul in 3rd, Tyra Gittins in 2nd, and of course Keyshawn. Keyshawn is definitely the sports moment of the decade for me.
And for you, George?
Mine is the Keyshawn.
Righty?
The 4x4.
Righty, right?
And Tennille Campbell.
Tennille, we didn't get a chance to talk about Tennille, but
Tennille is
definitely
fantastic.
that's going to be projected into the next decade right there.
Yeah, but I'll get to the Tennille. I'll put her up inside there.
A pioneer.
I was trying to determine between she and Nicholas Paul.
Nico?
I'll give her the
Yeah, she's doing something. Never
we
been
have
done.
about 23 more seconds.
Closing, I just want to say I want to look forward to a great 2021. I hope we get some sports. I want something to talk about, please.
And you had to say happy birthday to your big son.
Happy birthday to my big son, 5 years old.
Right.
Hey,
5 seconds.
whatever it is, whoever sage had a burn candle, whatever it is, prayers, novena, whatever it is you had to do, please let me get sports back on the agenda. Please, somebody.
You know what I mean? I will point novena. Viewers, we have come to the end of another edition of Scoreboard on ACT, and we were trying to look at the top sporting moment of the decade in Trinidad and Tobago. We came up with a few.
Yep.
That is what we think, but if you want, you can send us something and tell us your top 10 or your top 3. It's have many more. But again, we want to thank Chris and Dennis for coming down and spending this time with us, and we always look forward to having them on the program. Tomorrow at 1, Saturday at 1. We're coming back next week, and we're catching it right back at 8.